This episode is brought to you by Rogue 5 Toys. Come visit us at rogue5toys.com and see the collectibles that are available for sale. Have a good time with us. Come join our sales page there. You can also visit our Facebook group, 5idiotstalkingtoys.com. We'll get you there really easily. I just want to everybody, I should do this, right? I want to remind everyone that we are doing a huge giveaway for the HasLab Razor Crest, the Mandalorian ship that was destroyed at the end of one of the seasons, but it is a very, very cool ship. It is very hot right now. Everybody's looking for one. We are doing a giveaway for our subscribers. So check out the comments, but the description below of this video. And we're going to give you the details on how to win that, how to enter to win that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 5 Idiots Talking Toys. I'm Shane Davison. I'm here with Brandon and Charles and John and Christopher. Thank you very much for coming back for part 2 of our interview with Benjamin Baldwin and his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection focus. Also, he collects many other lines as well. He's a big Star Wars guy like the rest of us, and that's how we met him. But we're going to jump back into the conversation right now, midstream, and continue learning more about the original vintage turtle line, how that originated, where it went throughout the 9 years that it ran, and learn more about Benjamin's focus as well, and see what pieces are, most meaningful to him and where he likes to focus within the line. So let's jump right in now. We ask you, before I forget, to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and then please comment. Let us know. We want to hear some conversation from you about what you liked about the episode, what questions you might have about the Turtles line. And finally, we're going to tell you later on in the video, the episode, how to enter the giveaway for the HasLab Razor Crest Mandalorian vehicle for the 3.75-inch line. So we're going to be giving that away to one of our subscribers. Come back at the end of the video and listen how you can enter that contest. So let's jump right now back into the conversation with Benjamin. Away we go.
So part of my question that I have is that John was mentioning before, he said that when the Turtles died out, with the movies, when the movies died out, from what I remember, I don't think the movies really ever started because the reviews were always really bad for those movies. But when did the movies come out? Was it during the TV show or after the TV show?
It was during. The TV show was still airing when the movie came out. The first movie came out in 1990, and it was actually, at the time, the largest grossing indie film of all time. It held that record for over a decade.
Wow.
I love the movies. Movies are awesome.
And Jim Henson's son convinced him, his love of the Turtles convinced Jim Henson to do in his creature shop to actually do the Turtles for that movie. In fact, I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and the first 2 movies were largely filmed here in Wilmington.
Oh, wow.
Yep, I've been down to April's Farmhouse a few times. In fact, they just had an on-set cinema event out there where we watched Turtles 1 on a big blow-up screen, and they took us through a tour of inside of the house. I had been there before, maybe not with permission, on the outside of the house.
Bet you have.
But it was nice to see the inside of it, and that was a cool event. But yeah, there are a few surviving film locations here in Wilmington from that.
How many?
I remember that film being so big. I mean, that was one film that because of the franchise, because of all the merchandising, because of all the fans, amongst the kids with the toys and the cartoon, I'm sure it didn't get great reviews. I'm sure it's not a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes or anything, but it was so big. Every kid had to see that. I mean, I don't know that I knew any kids that didn't go to see that in the theater. I mean, it was.
How many were there? So how many movies were there? I remember the one with Casey Jones.
I think there were 3. Yeah, 3.
There were 3. The first one was the kind of grittier callback to the comics that was made possible by the popularity of the cartoon. So there was a little dissonance there with the Turtles dropping the D word a few times and it not being so cartoony because it was more of a callback to the comics. Then the second one was a little bit more cartoony. The Turtles didn't even actually use their weapons. That's why Michelangelo's fighting with the cold cuts. Hitting people with wieners and such. And then the third one is largely regarded as garbage, but honestly, I think it's the only one I saw in the theater. I remember my dad taking me to see it. The toys are awesome. The Samurai Turtles from that line. Like, I like the third movie. It has its blemishes, but I still like it.
Whoever wants to watch the movies, they're on Netflix. 1,
Yeah.
2.
Oh, nice.
Did they make toys just for the movies?
Yeah.
Huh.
I
Yeah,
just
the,
want to interject that I saw Brandon in line at the convention back in April, and I saw him take a man down that tried to cut him in line with a turkey sandwich. So is that where you got the idea with the cold cuts, Brandon? Just staring.
You're so stupid.
I am. He has no response for my stupidity.
I like how Shane said, I'm going to interject. You do that every episode 20 times.
Is it just me, or is it Christopher sitting in a different room? He's this big on his screen. Do you notice that? He's got his camera in the living room, and he's down in the basement.
He's in the great hall of the acrylics.
With all the money that he has, he's selling my Star Wars figures. He's selling my Turtles. You want to sell my front door too? You want to go to the front of my house and go sell my door?
Where did it stop for you as a kid? Where did you kind of trail off in that period of time that the original Turtle line was out?
Honestly, I think it was around the time that the third movie came out. I remember seeing that movie in the theater, buying the figures for the third movie. In fact, some of the other last figures I remember buying, probably a year or two before that, was the birthday line, which is a really funny, silly line. It's like clowning Michelangelo, magician Raphael, and a birthday Leo. And those were some of the last figures I remember buying. And then I sold all my turtles for women and poor decisions.
I think we've all been down that road.
So when I started collecting again as an adult, turtle wise, I started from scratch, but not with Scratch. And I still don't own Scratch, and I don't really care to own Scratch, but he's a cool figure.
So you don't have any of your original figures?
Nope. What I do have is my childhood Star Wars collection, though, and that is why I started collecting again as an adult, because my parents were retiring. My wife and I bought our home 7 years ago, went back home, got all my stuff, so helped my parents scale down and everything. And I hadn't been collecting in like 15 years, but as soon as I got it back on display, I started collecting again like no time had passed at all.
Did your wife know that you were a collector before you got married?
She did, and in fact, her knowledge of Batman and Spider-Man is what made me pursue her and make sure that like I got to ask her out and get to know her and marry her.
Ah, okay. My wife didn't know until after we got married that I had a problem.
Nice. That's funny.
A drawer problem?
A problem.
Yeah.
I regretted selling my turtles so much, though. I regretted selling my turtles so much that I never sold another childhood toy again, though. So I actually had all my vintage Star Wars and 90s Star Wars from that time. And fun fact, Star Wars was kind of my first love because of a VHS of Return of the Jedi at a buddy's house. Then I lived turtle life, like in the, live and in person through the 90s, lived that hardcore turtle life. And then when the Star Wars movies were re-released in the theaters and they were doing all the Power of the Force 2 stuff, that's kind of when I switched my focus to Star Wars collecting. So anyway, when I started collecting again as an adult, it was to finish my childhood Star Wars collection. And a vendor at AwesomeCon in Raleigh turned me on to the Imperial Commissary, and that's how I learned that there was a collecting community out there online.
Now,
Turtles.
go ahead,
Yeah, Facebook pages.
What's that?
For the Turtles. You want any Facebook pages for Turtles?
Yeah, there's a big vintage group that is a pretty good group to be a part of. Another one is TMNT Toy Collectors. That's a reputable group. And then I've got a little secret society gang. But if I tell you, I have to kill you.
All right, so for the groups that are not super secret, if you throw us a couple of links, we'll drop them in the description below for some other folks who might be interested to check those groups out.
Sure.
Charles is just dying to join as many groups as he can, so he'll need those links.
I'm already on them.
he's already worked himself to be a moderator in one of them.
No, I watch like Surfer Leo sells for like $200, and I'm like, I'm just so lost with all the newer stuff. That's why I'm just focusing only on the 10 backs. I mean, I halfway know them, but other than that, I'm lost.
Man, focuses are very smart. It helps you say no. It makes it easy to say no, which is a really helpful tool for collectors. And then it also lets you dabble in stuff like customs, or for me, I'm a loose collector, but I have some MOCs because of my focuses, variants, all kind of things like that. When you have a focus, you get to dabble in all the different areas a little bit. I have a Mikey focus, so I finished all the vintage Mikeys, mini, regular size, and giants, and play sets and everything to the vintage line. So whenever I kind of purged a lot of my turtles a while ago, even if I really, really was in love with the figures, I was able to convince myself to let them go, and I kept the Mikey example, so that I could keep that run.
So are there any like websites or whatever that show like which accessories, match figure?
Yeah, the best one is Vintage TMNT Vintage Toys Archive. Basically, if you Google Vintage TMNT, it's probably like the first search result that comes up. It's an online museum, and it's very helpful.
Okay.
Comprehensive, but it's really close.
So Ben, turtles are really.
I could shoot you after the call.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Ben, turtles are super, super hot right now, from what it seems like to me. They've gone up over the last year. It seems like, even just from what I've heard or could take in, even more so than the past couple of years, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you in a good spot where you started collecting them, like you said, 6-7 years ago, where you're watching some of the prices right now and you're like, oh, thank God I already have that, or now's a good time to sell some pieces? Like, tell us what your opinion is of, since you started collecting, what, kind of the prices and the value looks like now, and especially the last year or two.
Yeah. Going that far back, it was just Star Wars at first. I started slowly transitioning into Turtle World after the IC helped me pretty much complete my vintage Star Wars run. I did leave like 3 or 4 pieces off the list for me to find in person. Fingers crossed, ICC-Con, come on. I need that Imperial Gunner Blaster, and maybe a Ewok Battle Wagon if my wallet's ready and it'll fit in my suitcase. But so yeah, that was like 7 years ago with Star Wars. Turtles I've been doing about 4 years seriously, and I would say in 4 years the medium tier to Grail type tier stuff has appreciated in value no less than 3 times in about 4 years.
Wow.
In fact, I some of the first prototypes I owned were the Samurai turtles from the third movie that we were talking about earlier. I had 2 first shots, and when Chris Fawcett first started selling those, I actually grabbed one from the very first sale. He was testing the market. He had no idea what they would be worth. Turtle prototype collecting wasn't popular. He unearthed basically all of them anybody had really ever heard of and brought to the forefront of the public. At that time, I grabbed a Movie 3 Dawn for $330, and really cool figure. It looked like a jade, like Chinese jade warrior, because the first shot colors, it was all in different greens and stuff. Really, really cool piece. But anyway, I held on to it for like 3 years, and I ended up being able to sell it for 3 times what I paid a few years later to fund another prototype purchase.
Nice. So it sounds like you got in at a decent time. At least you started at a decent time, because I see the prices now, and I don't have a comparison, necessarily, but I'm just like, wow, if you want to get involved with turtles, they're pricey.
Yeah, man, some of them can be. But what's really funny is, like, a lot of the kind of basic figures or whatnot have not seen that same influx. It seems to have only caught like those medium tier figures, even some of the ones I was mentioning earlier in the basic assortment, like Half Court and Dr. L and Monty Moose and Sergeant Bananas and stuff like that. Even those medium tier figures kind of rode that wave.
Okay. So for someone like myself that maybe collected for the first 2 or 3 years, if I want to get some of those nostalgic pieces back, you know, the original ones, you know, loose, complete, you know, maybe not too much.
Yeah, it's not too bad, man. In fact, the OG Turts are not too bad.
Okay. All right.
They're not that rare. They made a lot of them.
Yeah.
So,
all right, boys, does anybody have any other questions for Benjamin about the line? John, should we take a break here and then we're going to ask Benjamin to show us some stuff?
well, I did have a couple other questions as far as like the variants go and repro weapons and stuff. What's the you know, is it the same kind of I guess stigma that it bears in the Star Wars collecting world, or how is reproduction looked at in the Turtles collecting world? And then as far as the variants go, how deep do people go with variants, and what do they consider variants?
So the repro question, a lot of people are ignorant to it because turtle collecting, Star Wars is a good thing to look at for kind of forecasting for turtles because it's a franchise that's staying in the forefront, that's being renewed for new generations and such. So Star Wars is kind of a good thing to look at, I believe anyway, for forecasting for turtles. So a lot of people just aren't knowledgeable about repro. In turtle world, I mean, prototypes are like kind of a new thing in the last 3 years for like turtle world at large. So, you know, a lot of people just don't really know about it. Some people don't care. And then you have people who, like me, who have collected Star Wars and come from some other scenes, and we're completely anti repro 100%. But the other thing I'll say about that is that you just don't see a lot of it for turtles yet. I just don't see a lot of it happening.
Okay. And then as far as like the variants and stuff go, are they something that are they like true variants, or is it like mispaint colored, or?
There's all types. One of the coolest stories that I have about a variant is there's a wacky action Michelangelo, and he's got this little thing that you crank, right, to make the action happen. And the knob is actually different. There's 2 different variants on the knob. They're just totally different knobs. And last year at ICC Con, my turtle buddy Josh Melcher, longtime OG turtle guy, fished one out of a bin for me for like $3 or $4. And somebody had tried to sell me one for like $45 earlier, and I passed because I was like, I want it, but I don't $45 want it. And anyway, my buddy ended up finding it for me at ICC Con.
Oh, nice. So they're not as like crazy about the variants in the turtle world as they are with the Star Wars world.
Not quite. I would say that army building is a lot more popular than variant collecting right now. Again, you can kind of like all the facets of Star Wars collecting, you can kind of see them slowly branching out and happening in turtle world, the different facets of collecting and the different concerns of collecting as well. I'd see them being passed down to the next generation slowly, you know?
Right.
No one really sends us stuff in for grading also. Like loose grading and stuff. It's like very, very rare.
Actually, a lot of my friends have sent a bunch of loose stuff off for for grading as far as turtles go. But I
never
live in
seen
turtle world, so
sale though. Like no one's ever
what's that?
No one's ever selling it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's mainly private collectors amassing at this point. You're right about that. You don't see them being sold very often.
I just sent in a whole bunch of stuff, and it's like 1 year.
Yeah, I had to wait quite a while. I got my first graded items not too long ago. I'll show those off in a little bit.
Cool.
All right, so we got to learn a lot about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line, the original vintage line from Playmates. And Ben, we got to take a look at some of your collection. I know I said a few minutes ago that we want to spend some more time with you, so we're going to have you on the next episode to really take in your whole collection as much as we can. But let's at least tease that. Let's show some of the Ninja Turtles, and we'll pack it in with this episode. Everybody wants to see what you've got. Oh my gosh, what are we looking at right now?
All right, so what we're looking at right now is the original clay sculpt. So that's the very first 3D step that happens. This is for Punker Don. I've got his head and arms. So then one of the next stages in the pre-production process is the hard copies. So I've got the hard copy band here minus Heavy Metal Raph, but I do have a hand-painted hard copy of him. Just not an unpainted.
Wow.
Painted hard copy of Rapid Mike. And
so when you say hard copy, is that basically a first shot that's been hand painted?
No.
Or is that before a first shot?
It's before a first shot. So what they'll do is they'll do the clay sculpt, then they'll do another sculpt that's a wax sculpt, so they can refine more of the details. I don't have a production figure right beside this for comparison, but there's actually a lot of differences between this original clay sculpt Punker Don head and the one for the that was actually produced. The Mohawk's a lot thicker. There's a lot of differences, so they'll change and refine a lot of the details in the wax sculpt. Then the hard copy is made out of resin, and it's a dense and strong material. And when they save the reverse of the resin hard copies, that's the production mold that will produce all the figures. Then they'll do a first shot of whatever plastic they have around or in the machine, just to kind of test the injection mold that's going to create all the figures. So those are the reason for the non-production colors there. And that's kind of the order that they go in. But some of these hard copies here do end up being hand painted, and that's what they actually take to Toy Fair. And interestingly enough, this is what's on, this is what's photographed in all the commercials. So if you look at any card back that you have, you're most likely looking at a picture of a hand-painted hard copy of every one of those figures. And that's why their weapons are painted sometimes too, and they look different from the production version.
And that just has to do with the production calendar and the timeline. They need to get all the card backs done, all of that part of the production. They need to have that ready before they have actual production toys ready, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
For sure. So this is the Rock Room. Just do kind of a quick overview. This is kind of my pre-production stuff, my unused card backs there I sent off to Cass and got graded. They don't really need to build. Like, part of the joy of prototypes is handling them and feeling how different they are from the toy, you know. But these things were kind of in rough condition and don't need to be handled anymore. So I figured they were perfect candidates to get cast and just, you know, sealed up. This is the design guide art. This is the original design guide art that I bought directly from Steve Levine for Classic Rocker Leo. It's hard to actually tell that it's not a print because it's so crisp, but that is actually pencil and pen.
Wow.
This is the original Ryan Brown painting. Pretty famous turtle image. It was in a book of like posters. Raph with the Metallica shirt. It's got his notes on it and everything. This is a Ryan Brown sketch. These two images are two of the earliest known Rocker Turtle images that I'm aware of.
Ben, did you get all this from the same person? This whole collection?
I actually got the Ryan Brown painting off eBay. I bought this directly from Steve Levine via Shellback Artworks. The card backs I got from a guy in the prototype group, Lee Howell. And then most of these prototypes came from Chris Fawcett and Matt George. They are champs, and they always try to contribute to my Rocker Turtle museum when they can. So I
And
mean,
Ben,
I'd be paying
back
for
on the
it,
left?
but you know. What was that?
What's that card back on the left? It looks like it's a bit different.
This one?
Tortoise? Yeah, Tortoise.
It's a foreign card.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and what's cool about the Tortoise card is, if you check out these regular like U.S. release cards, each Rocker Turtle got their own card back. Like Punkerdon, Rapid Mike, they have these awesome borders. The Rocker Turtles have some of the most beautiful card backs around, but they all have a distinct one. For the Tortoise, I believe there's only one card back that represents like the way all of them were packaged. So there's not more than one example of it. So by having this one, I kind of have them all, which is a good thing because it's not cheap. So then these are all my Rocker Turtle customs. Way too many stories to unpack here, so like I won't even try. But all my turtle buddies online, we send each other customs and do all kinds of fun stuff for each other. And I made myself a few. I made the Punker Greaser gang here. But then the rest of these were actually gifts, or I won in like charity raffles and things like that. So then this back wall is all dedicated to the Coming Out of Their Shells tour. And again, I'm just going to kind of briefly overview. I'll just keep going. This is all my Turtle Buddies Online original artwork. One of my favorite artists, Aaron Hazuri, he sends envelope art whenever you buy his prints. These are some of his prints.
Wow.
And so eventually over time, since he knew about my rocker focus, he did me a different rocker turtle for each envelope art. So until I had the whole band. So that was real nice of him. And this is my foreign wall. So I've got stuff from Germany, like this freaking enormous Rapid Mike poster. The thing is a behemoth, man. But so this is all non-US release stuff. It's Italy, Germany, Argentina. I heard somebody mention Argentinian pieces earlier in regards to Star Wars, and I was thinking about these guys right here. I could talk for days about this stuff, but I'm just not going to unpack it much.
No. Make everyone wait
all,
for the full collection video.
This is all the like this design guide art I was telling you about from Steve Levine. I've also got all the period copies from the Playmates Internal Design Guide, but this is my wall of stuff that has the design guide art images on it. So like Valentines and skateboards and pogs and weird stuff like that. So anyway, that's the rock room, and it's actually a functional rock room with guitars and keyboard and drums and all that. And then we got some Star Wars. Nothing but Star Wars. And then we got Turtles. There's my Mikey focus right there on that shelf.
Wow.
These are all Turtles. Then there's my Wolverine collection down here on the end. These are all my notes from my online pals who love me. I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
All right, so this is a good tease to see the next video where we get to see some more details of the collection and learn about some of the different aspects of the Turtles and the Star Wars and the Wolverine collections that you have. Well, guys, let's all say a big thank you to Ben for joining us tonight. We're gonna enjoy coming back to you on our following episode. So please like this video, comment about the Turtles, what your memories are, any questions that you have about the line. Hopefully we can get those answered for you. But also join us for the next episode so that we can really go through Benjamin's collection and see what he's got in a little bit more detail. Again, check down in the description of this video and learn how to enter to win the HasLab Razor Crest vehicle. It's enormous. We're giving that away to one of our subscribers very soon. So find out about that. Please subscribe to the channel and you'll get notified of all the new videos that we put out throughout the week. Guys, this has been fun learning about Turtles, learning more than I originally knew. Ben, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, man. Cowabunga, dude.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure,
Thanks,
guys. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.